The imaginary tells the thrilling and equally terrifying story of a little boy named Rudger, Louis Rudge Buchanan. He's Amanda's, Evie Kissel, imaginary best friend but can still be confined by the rules of his existence. Rudger is always left in the place Amanda saw him last. This means he can get stuck. Even worse, Rudger learns that he will disappear forever if Amanda forgets him or something happens to her. The special nature of their relationship attracts a frightening villain. The vile Mr. Bunting, Jeremy Swift, gobbles up imaginary friends as the source of his eternal life. Revered animator Yoshiaki Nishimura explores human mortality in his superb second animated feature for Studio Ponic After Mary and the Witch's Flower. The crux of the film is that Rudger understands he could die and becomes fearful of that fate, something Nishimura relayed with eloquence. When I was writing the script, I became Rudger myself. The first words that came to me was, "I've never disappeared before, but I am scared of disappearing." When I felt this line and emotion, I realized that this was very similar to something I felt as a child, the mortality of life itself. I think using this original material I could have made a fun fantasy film, mused Nishimura, but I got very excited, because I could really depict the life and death of human beings through the metaphor of imaginaries. The result is a beautiful fantasy film, but also a deeply thoughtful one with powerful themes. Studio Ponic's Yoshiaki Nishimura makes an imaginary friend. Nishimura, a former lead producer at Studio Ghibli, worked on such classic films as Howl's Moving Castle, The Tale of Princess Kaguya, and When Marnie Was There. He decided to write the imaginary screenplay after becoming enamored with A.F. Harold's award-winning children's novel. What began as a simple exercise to frame the story for director Yoshiyuki Momose and the Studio Ponic team blossomed into a full-blown script. The original story was very interesting to me, explained Nishimura. It was fun and scary. You can't really find many films where the main character is a boy that was imagined by a person. If something happened to him, no one in the world would even know, or can see him. His existence is not going to be there. He continued. In Japan, most people are not aware of this concept of an imaginary friend, maybe 10 to 20%. So that's why I thought, in order for me to explain to the director and the creators, then I have to create a treatment that's maybe about 4 pages. Then it turned out to be 40 pages. Well, if you like it so much, why don't you write the script, the director said. That's how I ended up writing the script. I felt that if people can relate to this boy, who cannot be seen by anyone, then we could create some very special different worlds, added Nishimura. Meanwhile, the imaginary's breathtaking hand-drawn animation is influenced by the voiceover actors who give life to the incredible characters. Fame has nothing to do with how Studio Ponic casts their films. Nishimura comments. For many pieces, acting directors are always involved. We actually don't really call the English version a dubbed version. We are creating both the English version and Japanese version in our studio. I'm aware that in many cases, actors are selected by how well known they are, added Nishimura. We always try to find an actor who's the best fit and who does the best work for the role. Because we do hand-painted, hand-drawn animation, that helps us ground our animation to the acting of actors who are doing live-action acting. That's why we are very serious about who we choose. We might be listening to an entire day of one particular actor's lines. The imaginary does not pull any punches regarding the existential crisis that Rudger and every imaginary friend face. This is especially harrowing when Mr. Bunting's awful abilities are shown. He's easily one of the scariest villains in an animated children's film. Nishimura respects his audience and wants to be truthful about life's difficulties. It was a very difficult task to make sure that we have the right balance. So when we create this piece, how do we handle the scary part? I do not want to lie to children in my film. It's different from when we were children growing up. Children these days are exposed to many scary things. I wanted to make sure that they have the power to overcome whatever fear, whatever scariness that's out there. Let's say Mr. Bunting, continued Nishimura. I thought when children are growing up, what is it that turns into an obstacle for them? If I were able to symbolize this, then the character of Mr. Bunting is complete and he will be a success. I felt Jeremy Swift did such amazing work. I only have gratitude towards his acting. The Imaginary had a theatrical release in Japan, but Nishimura wanted the widest release possible to give everyone a chance to see the film. I have strong feelings about making sure our piece is delivered to audiences around the world. For us, it's such a happy thing when information spreads so rapidly. We get to pair up with Netflix to distribute our work. This is the first time, so I'm just excited about what could happen. Nishimura is keenly aware of the length of time to produce The Imaginary, and really any hand-drawn animated film. I feel so bad that it took us so long after Mary, and the Witch's Flower, to make this new piece. We would like to explore new stories and try out different things, explained Nishimura. As such, Studio Ponic has already started work on new feature films. We are already in the next production of work. And we are preparing for the work after the next one already. Moving forward, I would like to create films more constantly. That's our hope. He teased what those films might look like moving forward, and it's not what you'd expect. When we create something, I really want to be unpredictable, coming to the audience. That expression, content, everything, something that's not what you would imagine our studio created.